Welcome and thank you for joining us at today's RestFest Film Festival Filmmaker panel. We are currently in the festival month. Film and video art programs are available to stream now, and we've got lots and lots of virtual events as well going on, like this one. We have begun recording, and I'm going to start with a self-description and introduction. So my name is Bec Miriam. I'm the founder and organizer of RestFest Film Festival. I'm also a filmmaker and artist. I am crip and mad and ADHD and non-binary, and I have dark brown curly hair and pale skin. I'm wearing a sweater vest today, and I live on 𝓚𝖗𝖆 land. I am at my desk with lots of art and books behind me. These are the access measures we have going for today. So automated closed captioning and transcription are enabled. To turn that on, if you're on a computer, at the bottom bar of the Zoom screen, there should be a little CC in a rounded rectangle to turn on captioning, and in that same area, a little arrow pointing up to turn on transcription. If you're on a mobile, at least particularly on an iPhone, swipe all the way to the right at the bottom of the bar, click the three dots inside a circle, click Captions and Translations, and click View Transcript. For audio describing today, visual descriptions will be provided by speakers. Please maximize your comfort, and this goes for all the filmmakers as well. This may mean having your camera on or off, coming late or leaving early, lying down, stimming, wearing comfortable attire, communicating via chat only or not at all, and anything else you feel will maximize your comfort. Please try to keep your camera stable to accommodate dizziness. A quiet and low sensory breakout room will be available to enter at any time if you'd like to take a break without having to exit the event. Please remain quiet and with video off if you're there. This event is recorded and will be available to watch afterwards. Live access support is available. Please feel free to reach out for assistance with anything via speaking aloud or by chatting Alexa Dexa, our wonderful access artist here today. I am now going to be closing this share screen and we'll be taking a group photo. Okay, wonderful. We got everyone. Yes, okay. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you. Okay. So I'm going to get started today with some prepared questions, and toward the end, folks who are here, welcome to put their questions in the chat, and I will read them aloud. So to start us off today, I'd love to go around and have each of you do a self-description and give a brief description of your film and what inspired you to make it. 𝓚𝖗𝖆, would you like to start us off today?
Yes. Hello, my name is 𝓚𝖗𝖆𝓭𝓊. I'm an artist and sex worker from Belgium. I'm in my late 20s. I'm gender fluid, ADHD, mad, and chronically ill. And I am pale with dark hair. My film, Thawing Seeds, came to me in meditation with a plant that I now don't know the word for in English, but I was in the forest and there was this plant and I had like some sort of inner experience. And a few weeks later, this film came to me in like one full download or whatever, like in one full sitting. And it inspired me to create this because I felt like it would have been something that I would have loved watching when I was really, really depressed and struggling and dealing with feelings of suicidality. And so for me, this was really like an offering, I think. I sometimes watch it myself when I feel like probably I will watch it tonight when I feel overwhelmed. So that was my intention for that film. Yeah.
Thank you, Kara. I think I have the same experience as you're expressing when watching the film. So thank you for creating it. Mara,
That is so beautiful. I love that. I feel like I want to like bring that forward as an educator to my students, like make the thing that you want to see when you're overwhelmed. That's so beautiful. Um, I'm Mara. I use they, them pronouns. I am a light-skinned, non-binary person in a room with a big lamp behind me and also a big tree. I'm wearing a brown sweatshirt, a black beanie, little earrings, dangle earrings, and a over ear headphone set. My film is Lemon Lime, which is a film that came directly out of meditating while animating straight ahead um, with a downtruder. So I'm doing hand-drawn animation. It was kind of my first foray into the animation world. So I didn't really know what I was doing. So I just let the lines that I was making lead me forward. And so it's a lot of abstraction. I used palimpsest, which is a method in which you actually, every scene is drawn on the same piece of paper. And so there's a lot of traces behind lines, and they kind of become these ghosts. And it's all about the experience inside my body as a non-binary person. Um, yeah, thank you so much. Happy to be here.
thank you so much, Mara. Hearing both of you talk about the inspiration coming out of these meditations and these meditative experiences, I think is special and really comes through in in a lot of these films, even folks that we haven't heard from yet. Al, would you like to share?
Yeah. I'm Althea, but everyone just calls me Al. Um, I have short blondish hair. It keeps changing color, so I don't really know. It's short on the sides and long on top, and I'm light-skinned, non-binary. I feel like there's a theme going here. Um, I have cerebral palsy, and so it really informs how I make my films. Because a lot of the edits that I did in my film Transcend bring in the fact that my hands shake when I'm holding the camera. Like I very purposefully left in that footage. And my film came from academia, so I had to make it because I was getting an MA and we had to do documentary film. But actually the film came from the idea, like I've always like the fact that I was able to make it, like I had access to the equipment and stuff like that, because as a trans person in the UK right now, it's really scary. And I think that the representation that we have in the UK is very um focused on cis people like top down creating things for like looks into the trans community, and I wanted to do it as someone who was part of that community, and I kind of wanted to make like a love letter to the community that kind of saved my life. So I did, and I got three of my friends to help me and talk about them making their art, and then I kind of had to insert myself in the beginning and with the animations throughout. So yeah, that's what inspired my film.
Thank you so much, Al. Another theme, this love letter theme, is also it's so present in these works. Foster, would you like to share?
A wave of anxiousness just washed over me. So of course this is when it's my time to talk. Hello y'all, I'm Foster, she, they pronouns. I am a, what is the color giving today? Let's say light caramel skinned black person who is fat. I have the sides of my head shaved and the rest of my hair is in locks. In the front, I have bangs cut, very short, a la Beyonce 2011. I also have small tendrils on the side, I'm wearing lime green lipstick, cat eye, clear glasses, and a like nude skin color camisole. I'm in a white room, and one of the walls has wood paneling. Um, Again, I'm Foster, she, they pronouns. I'm a fat, black, queer, trans, kinky, low femme dyke, churchy bitch. Yeah, that is me. Of My Body is my film. My practice as an artist, broadly beyond just film, is very much so steeped in an improvisational bent. So in that realm, the actual footage is just whenever I thought about setting up the camera during a residency where I was taking okra from my first year of gardening and turning it into paper. And that was also a residency during which a community member of mine ended their life, and was also a time when I was grieving a few different relationships and the ends of those. Okra is a plant that, on both sides of my family, folks are very disgusted by, like, very much so, like, ill, slimy, get it away. And I was very curious about the plant for that reason. And I developed this really rich relationship with the plant and wanted to continue the life of it on. So I learned how to make paper with the bast fibers of it. So anyway, the film is me documenting that process. The audio is some two bits of compositions, two different compositions that are elongated, stretched out, and then a narration that is done while I was just watching the silent footage and just thinking about all of the things that were a part of that process. Yeah, really excited to be thinking about death, grief, land, fatness, pleasure, love, care, as a fat, black, queer, and trans person in this specific moment in time.
Thank you so much, Foster. I saw Mara say in the chat goosebumps, and I agree. Thank you so much for sharing your words and your work with us. Moira.
Hey everyone, my name is Moira. I'm really excited and honored to be here with each of you today. I love all your films. I took notes and I wrote love letter after pretty much everyone to self, and that you're all guides and knowledge keepers and knowledge sharers. So just wanted to share that with you all. So my name is Moira, and I have a long face. I'm uh, light-skinned. I have a little red going on my nose today, and I have dark hair. I have dark blue eyes, and they're almost black. My hair is pulled up today with a little swoosh on the side. And I have a Salish nose ring. It's silver and it's a whale, and I don't know if you can see, I have like a dark teal baseball jacket on that has black spots that are kind of like a cheetah or a leopard print. So I'm keeping some of my fave animals around for warmth and energy today. So feeling cozy there. I have purplish oversized rim glasses that are kind of square. They also look kind of spotted and have some translucent spots as well. And what else? I think that's my background's pretty much all white doors, a little bit of white wall. I have deer antlers in the back and a piece of charcoal and paper art behind there next to a mirror on the wall. And I'm a native person coming to y'all from Secatog territory, which is my ancestral territory in 𝓚𝖗𝖆𝓭𝖊 on Long Island, or Cross from Fire Island, or what we call Seal Island. I am a two-spirit person, and again, I'm super excited to be here with y'all. My work, Carrying Breath Between Ancestors, was inspired just with trying to, I'm very tied to the estuary that I can go to often when I'm feeling up to it. I have a constellation of disabilities that also kind of really that are affected or accentuated well, from the weather and tidal heights and things like that, as well as just from different things going on in my electrical system, particularly my brain. Overall, I was born with multiple disabilities, but I also have a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. So that affects a lot of my weather kind of stuff. And so the film I did is something about accumulations and decays, but also about going outdoors to nature and sending either notes or descriptions of the land to friends, or images, or both, while I'm out there. And I was thinking I would love to do that for myself too, and think about how, and also regularly when I'm there, I meditate on my ancestors who are there, as I am, and I'm also work the land there and collect the seeds and work the land in the ways that my ancestors did and continue to, because we're still here. Yeah, so I think that's it. Moira out.
Thank you so much, Moira. Your film, there's so much this sense of connection with the land and with these ancestors and with you as a viewer. And that's something I wanted to ask about for each of you, that there is this sense of a focus on connection, either with one another, you and the subjects, maybe with um, ancestors, like I mentioned, the earth. And also something that really strikes me is the viewer as an active participant in these films. Like 𝓚𝖗𝖆 is really looking at us and acknowledging us. And I think that's true as well for Moira's film, for Foster's film, for Mara's film in a unique, different way, and Al's film too, as being this love letter to a queer community that all of us are part of. And so I'd love to hear about that thought process, I guess, whether that be if that was something you were thinking about when you were developing the film, or if it's something that came naturally to you, um, in addition to just a thank you. I'm happy to go in backward order. I know, Moira, you just spoke. If you'd prefer not to immediately, but if you'd like to, it'd be lovely.
Moira speaking. Yeah, I'm happy to. So I also am very much in love with the wind, and the estuary where I'm located the area is just so dependent and also destroyed by wind, and I think of that as also my ancestors, like how we've worked the land with the wind, and how all the life on the land has worked with the wind, and also how my body works with the weather, and wind is part of it. And so I definitely wanted to bring people along with me in that experience. And the way I did that is, which isn't seen or felt in the film, is I use haptic technology for sound, and I've created a wooden bench that you can sit on the bench, and it has this vibration whenever the wind in the field recordings is happening. So that was one way, one physical way, but the intention was definitely to bring people along with me and to share how I interact with the land in this very, like, looking very closely at it, but looking not looking as like a tourist, but like sinking in to the land and being with the land. Being, the word with is really important to me. So thinking of that, but hoping to share that feeling with folks too. And also with some of the different shapes and the ways things are turned and twisted and shaped by the tides, by the constant wind. Also, it's kind of a reflection on my scoliosis and just like the different shape my brain is now too, because of my TBI, and the way that I experience those things. It's an attempt at a haptic film for me. So with all the layers and the foldings and the unfoldings. And I can, if anyone's interested in a book that I just learned about, I can add it into the chat that talks about the cultural identities. That's also like for me culturally, that idea of folding and unfolding is really important. And it's just like, how things are woven together and can be unwoven together, but the elements of time, which I think we all share in our work, whether it's visually through layers, but this like continuous of past, present, just all time rolled together, of looking back, being present, looking to future, and also the way that we unwind it and the self-care aspect, but also again going back to like knowledge keeping and knowledge sharing too. So, but that's me. Thanks. Shall I pass it over to Foster?
That would be great. I also want to acknowledge this offering that Foster put in the chat. Haptic being relating to the sense of touch, in particular relating to the perception and manipulation of objects using senses of touch. So thank you, Foster.
Moira speaking. Yes, thank you. I love that. Moira.
Thank you.
Foster here. Can you ask that question one more time?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to read Alexa's written description of it because I know I was meandering here. There's a sense of connection in your work and with the viewer as an active participant. What's the thought process? Was that something you were thinking about when you were developing the film? Or was it something that came naturally to you? And I also want to offer that this is just a prompt if you'd like to speak on that sense of connection.
Yeah. Foster again. I think a lot about the collective, mostly because I think a lot about what is necessary to get us to some otherwise possibility than the current one. And that requires all of us, and it requires a lot of different strategies, and it requires being transformed. And the thing that capitalism, fascism, all of them exist to do is to damper, repress any possibility of the transformation that happens when folks have access to their bodies, when folks have access to their grief, that renders us powerful. So yeah, I think a lot of the chaos of my work is inviting folks into their own chaos, and also like attempting to bear witness through my own practice of my chaos in an embodied way, which like also brings a lot of like self-consciousness around like, as a person who is a classically trained vocalist and also went to school for music and took many production courses, I'm like, this unmixed audio is so chaotic. And also, I think it's really important that people get to witness that you also get to do that and present that. And I think, in my experience, has been a real invitation to other folks who are curious about being in the, being in the all of it of ourselves, in community with each other. So there's that, and then just also thinking about like in the film, I talk about plants and land as ancestors, and I was reading some text. I wish I could remember it now, but just thinking about essentially the gist of what I came away with from that text was like, as a person with ancestors who were enslaved, there's so much of my lineage and history that only the trees know, that only the dirt know. And it is so deeply and critically important that I am connecting with the earth, with the land, in ways that I find accessible to listen and hear for those parts of my lineage, those parts of my ancestry that I may not find, speaking with my grandmother, that I may not find listening to my aunties, overhearing conversations of my aunties in the kitchen. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Foster. Thank you for inviting us into this chaos and inviting us to explore that within ourselves and see that possibility for transformation. I really appreciate it.
I just wanted to check that the audio is still okay because I moved my laptop because it was on my legs and that was a mistake. Um, Great. Um, so on connection in my film, this is like basically I have had a theory that trans people do more art than non-trans people. And so my whole thing was about this piece was made basically like meant to be research that became much bigger for like how trans people do art and why trans people do art. And I think that to do that, I wanted them to connect with their craft first and get them to draw or compose or read their poetry and have it in mind when I did the interviews with them. Except Vinny, because they're a force to be reckoned with, and they decided they wanted to do the questions first, and I wasn't going to argue. Um, and so I wanted them to connect, and I think that comes through, like that they really are just like they embody their art and they embody their practice. And I think the importance of body and like people physically not necessarily being able to explain or describe why they do the art the way they do it, but being able to do it and then articulate it better afterwards. That was what I wanted to happen with the film. And that is, I hope, what did happen with the film. In terms of connection, I didn't go through trying to get across connection. I wanted, like, I've been friends with Billy, the composer. I've been friends with them for like 5, 6 years now. And I've been friends with Vinny for a similar amount of time. And I only met Emery on the day that we filmed. But I really loved their art and I reached out to them because I wanted them to be in my film because I liked their art. And they like gave me dinner and they like invited me into their house for a whole day and it was lovely. And we became fast friends because of the film. And so I think it facilitated connection. I think everyone who watches the film brings something new to it as well, and that they notice things that I didn't. Things mean things to them in different ways, and I really like that everyone can watch it and find different parts of it that are that speak to them. And originally, I wasn't going to be in it at that bit at the beginning. That wasn't going to be there, but someone pointed out to me that when you watch a film, you can't assume that someone knows something about you. So you can't assume that people know that you're trans, even if it like seeps out of your pores. And so they want, they were like, I want people to know that that's what inspired your film. And I think that's where the connection comes from for me. It's like deep rooted in A, the community I'm a part of, and B, the fact that I was creating a piece of art whilst I was asking them about their art, and it became very meta. And so I think that's it, just like all kind of links together and it became this really beautiful thing and that was much bigger than the sum of its parts and much bigger than just doing a piece of research, basically. So yeah.
Thank you, Al. That meta aspect of it is so real, and the meta the meta aspect of these different types of connections of even something that I loved so much in the film is the visual artist talking about the puffin time tradition that they have with their husband. I don't know if folks haven't seen it, but there's this print that one of the artists made that says puffin time, and they have this tradition where they rub noses with their husbands, and it was so sweet. I was tearing up that first time I watched it. I just that queer love and connection is so so special and important. Um, Mara.
Hi. Um, I'd like to introduce another panel member who's here with us. She's sitting in my lap. Her name's Fig. She's a tabby calico with a white mark on her face and a pink nose. Um, I think for me, my own experience in my body is very dissociated, due to my own chronic illness and body stuff and also CPTSD. Oh, she's been here. Now she's trying to leave. And I think through the meditation and like allowing the shapes that kept just naturally came out to like expand and take the form that they like wanted to. It kind of almost felt like I was just helping them into the world. And so for me, it kind of became this opportunity to show the viewer like what was happening inside my body, like what feelings looked like. But I think ultimately that was also for me because I'm so not aware. I mean, I'm really in my body because I have to be. But it's really uncomfortable in here often. And sometimes it makes it hard to I think I just have a pattern of being a little removed. And so it was ultimately for me, but I think for it also can connect with other people in that way. And that sort of got a little remixed because the catalyst for the film was a song that my friend, another non-binary artist, made called Lemon Lime. And so it became this thing of like trying to explain one thing to someone and them taking it maybe wrong. So kind of writing what it is that you're trying to say. So in the beginning of the film, there's two people who are identical. Maybe it's the same person talking to themselves, where in one of their brains it says lemon, and they speak the word and lemon comes out their face, and somehow in translation becomes the word lime, like the cursive gets all weird and enters that person's brain as lime. And there's sort of that fundamental miscommunication that I think is super common speaking to cis people as a non-binary person, or speaking to anyone who might not identify with being non-binary, because our culture is so non-binary. But I think also trying to explain what's happening in my own body as a chronically ill person to people who don't experience that is like impossible. So it's sort of about that fundamental like want to connect. Yeah.
Thank you, Mara. It's so potent, this lack of the miscommunication and this wanting to connect is so present, along with the looking to connect with your own body, and then in watching it feeling that as well, wanting to connect with my own body. Yeah, thank you. Kara?
Sorry. Yeah, for me, well, so this film came to me in, like, I'm a very visual thinker, so I usually know very well what I'm about to do. But in this case, it also had to do with the fact that it's like a no-budget film. And so it was also like a practical way to keep costs like really low, because it's easier to do like a POV film. But the more like symbolic intention was, I think I experience life in a very animistic way. I believe this to be like a very human way that we have been conditioned to detach from. Um, Belgium is a very small but very heavily populated country. We have like 12 million inhabitants, so it's like heavily industrialized. So from childhood to now, I have seen like landscapes being erased and like businesses building their big buildings on top of where I used to play as a kid. And so, where I went to film this film is a place where I would go to. Like, I come from a abusive household, and I would get out of the house and like go to this little piece of forest not too far away. And I always had the feeling that this is where I was telling my stories to, and like receiving wisdom back from the trees. And the reason why I made it POV, or why I wanted the viewer to be like part of it, was kind of to invite them into this experience of connecting with land spirits. And I I am white. I don't have like a lineage of like animism or like a magic practice in my family. Like two sides of the family are Catholic, so it took me some time to figure out like how do I experience the more like unseeable layer of being human, I guess, or like connecting with your environment. And I really relate to some of the things that all of you have shared here, like this, yeah, this indigenous way of connecting to the spirit of the land and kind of collaborating with that spirit. I also looked up the plant I connected with, and it's a foxglove. So that's why I used the colors green and pink. And through this, with this experience, when I was sitting there, like connecting with this foxglove, there was like ants, a lot of ants around me, and I was just like observing them as if I was a kid. And then it kind of came together in like this simple storyline a few weeks after I had this experience. Um, yeah, I think that's it. for me, like what I can add is that I do connect a lot to my to like ancestors like who have been accused of witchcraft in the Middle Ages, and I do research also on like their practices, like whatever is left and that we can find, because a lot has been erased or is like being told from the position of the Inquisition. And so we had here in the area where I live, there were like swamp spirits, and it was like they were called 𝓚𝖗𝖊, which is like I can best translate it as like white wives, which doesn't sound that good. It doesn't sound very good in this day and age, but they were described as like these white, kind of like fey, fairy, glowing, feminine-looking creatures. So that's where it came from as well.
Thank you so much, Greta. It's it's beautiful to hear this pattern with many of your films of this connection between um, oneself and ancestors, and also with plants and the lands, and that being so intertwined. Um, yeah, it's really beautiful and feels resonant and true. Um, I have another question. I would love to hear what it means to each of you to be a CRIP, disabled, neurodivergent, mad artists, and how you feel that impacts your work and your process. Greta, would you like to get us started?
Yeah, damn. How I experience it, in short, is like being excluded from the art scene. So like not getting funding. It's actually like part of like reason why I am a sex worker is so that I can fund my own art and that I have time to create, because I would not be able to pay rent here. And also like I would get so sick if I would have to work full time. So like it for me being an artist, it's my dream, but it's also like I feel like it's my mission or my calling. Like there's no other way for me to be alive. And there was a time where I was like, oh, you know what? Apparently society doesn't want me to be an artist, so I will just be like a cleaner or something. It doesn't really matter. But then I learned that it's not an option for me. So to keep myself alive, I have to be an artist, and to keep like the artist in me alive, I apparently for now is like by doing sex work, which is like in part also like a sacrifice, comes with like a huge social cost, but also like physically, emotionally, it's a pretty heavy job. So for me, it feels a little bit like devotion in a way. Um, yeah. It's hard, but it's worth it, I think. Though I wish I would get some funding. Sometimes I'm happy to have find this like formula to sustain myself and my practice. But it comes with being misunderstood a lot, I think, and also like not really knowing how to navigate art spaces because they're actually not accessible to accommodate you at all. Just like having your work understood by these like more mainstream art spaces is already like so difficult for some reason. Whereas like here, I feel like I mean everyone knows what I'm talking about. I can see it and I hear it also, and feels very good to have that experience like mirrored back, and to feel like you do belong somewhere and your work belongs somewhere and there's like an audience for it and you're not like this isolated weirdo like doing sex work so that you can make art. No, there's like a greater purpose, even though it's like a small audience. I think it really matters. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Agreed. And I saw so many nods here. I think we're in this with you, and we're in this together. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think accessibility is like a huge issue that most art spaces, but most spaces are not considering, especially in like pandemic times, and like the world just like completely trying to move on, even though it's like it's the same if not worse, which is so wild to me. Yeah, so I personally really resonate with that because I thought that I would be in more I guess more physical spaces, more physical art spaces, and I just feel like it's not like I used to be a really big uh music person, go to a lot of shows, and that's just not something that is really super feasible. Just with the lack of accessibility in that concern. Um, and so yeah, I do think it kind of did force me to become like this isolated weirdo, which I kind of love. Like I get to like delve into my own brain and spend a lot of time with myself. And I'm thinking about that image. I think David Lynch drew it of the dog that's like there's like loneliness and it's the dog who's tied up, and then there's solitude, which is the dog holding his own leash and walking with it. And I really tried to be embracing that in the last, couple years. Um, and I think animation and comics, I make both, are really related, and they are a huge workload, and they let you just like be by yourself with your own brain for many, many, many hours. Um, and then you can share it in ways that, it goes home to someone's house and lives with them. Um, yeah, so that's sort of how that affects me.
Thank you, Mara. Fully agreed. Relatable. Thank you. Al?
Uh, it's a big question. I've been thinking about it, but I still don't really have an answer. So I'm lucky enough that a lot of the time I'm well enough to do physical activity, and one of the things that I do a lot when I'm like, um, I want to get more in touch with my body is I go bouldering, so it's like indoor climbing basically. And like you fling yourself at a wall and you kind of climb up and hope for the best that you don't fall off. And that's kind of how I started with my artistic practice too, because I'm self-taught in everything. Like I've and I came into this space where there were a lot of like people who'd been taught how to make film, and they weren't very nice to me because I had never been taught how to make film. And so I think that being disabled and queer and neurodivergent meant that I was very used to feeling like I didn't fit in. And I kind of decided to use it to my advantage instead of being really self-conscious about it. And I think it's pushed my art to be like more experimental and more me. Like I put more of myself into my films. I'm much more vulnerable with my art than I would have been like if I wasn't the way I am. I was born with my cerebral palsy, and it does get worse with age because obviously your body like uses itself, for want of a better phrase. So like the muscle cramps, all that kind of thing, it gets worse, and it's relatively mild. Um, that's what the doctors say at least. Um, but I think that being born with a disability is a weird experience because I knew about it from when I was really young. And so I got very frustrated because I got told that I could do whatever I wanted by my parents, which we love them. They were very nice and they meant it. But the reality is that like I have to make things work for me. And I think I channel a lot of my frustration into my art. There are lots of feelings that you aren't allowed to express in society, especially in a society that isn't designed for you. And I think that art bridges the gap for me between the thoughts that exist in my head that I can't articulate, whether that be because of my neurodiversity or because of my disability, and the feelings that I live with in my body and in myself. And I think that my art provides me a way to kind of get that out, if that makes sense. Um, and yeah, I think that channeling rage into something positive is always a good thing. So yeah.
Al, so much gold there. This outsiderness of creating experimentation and the rage and um, yeah, very resonant. Thank you, Al. Foster.
Foster here. Yeah, I just had this moment of like deep resonance with my child self a few moments ago. As I was thinking about like what the fuck am I gonna say in response to this question? And so much of my art practice is just doing it. So much of it is just like making some shit because I feel some shit and some shit needs to be made. And I think about the stark contrast of that practice of my art making currently to what my childhood looked like as a fat, black, socialized as a girl child, and all of the masking, all of the performance, both like consensual and non-consensual. I love performing, and also like also relegated to lots of performances that served my survival, not necessarily my holistic well-being. Um, and just to, you know, be able to go to a baby grand piano and sit at it for an hour and just hit C4 for an hour while I like moan, hum, whistle, to set up my phone and to flail my body across a room, to like hear my fat slap against a wood floor is such a powerful experience for me. Yeah, again, when I think about what the greater part of my life has been. And I think with that also comes, I mean, I spoke about it in my previous response, just about how deeply self-conscious I am about the work that I make. And like, I have just years and years and years of work, be it composition work, be it paintings, be it photographic work, be it writing. It's just like sitting. I'm like, I made it, it's done. We'll move on. And for a while it was like, I'm making this work to get this feeling out and it's done. And also as I'm sitting with the work more, I'm like, oh, a lot of what is happening here is like the art industrial complex requires you to, language the life out of your work. And it requires you to make the illegible legible, specifically to whiteness, specifically to neurotypicality, specifically to capitalism, and in ways that like are so incongruous with the work that I'm making. And it actually is like more labor to do all of the languaging, to try to attempt at getting the grant than it is to just like continue to make this work that is deeply resonant and like hope that one day somebody will find the archive and like posthumously people will just like be like, bitch, you really were doing something. um so yeah, my work as I think about it is very much so a gift to my child self. Yeah, who played a lot, to be clear. My parents were very playful, very silly people, and also they are and were Black folks who were hell-bent on surviving in this world that really limits the ways in which Black folks are able to do that, and gave a lot of those survival strategies to me. Um, so yeah, I think making art right now for me, um, yeah, is like reconfiscating the parts of myself that um, yeah, capitalism has attempted to rob me of. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Foster. I want to say you really are doing something, and I don't think we need to wait till it's posthumous. I am loving what you do, and I know we all are. So thank you. Thank you. Moira.
Hi again, everyone. Moira speaking. Yeah, thanks for sharing, everybody. And yeah, it is. I have my brain's percolating with things to send you all, um, um, for opportunities that aren't so art like filled capital art and in that academic or institutional way. Um, I For me, I also curate, and I don't know if I'll ever do it again. I can't not do it again. It's part of like we need more crip BIPOC curators um, to, and it's a lot of it's hard work, but and people like Bec doing DIY festivals and things like that to for more opportunities, but also for I feel for us to collectively be able to participate and co-witness all the fabulous and important work that we're doing. But I do a lot of DIY stuff myself, and my curatorial works have been in DIY, small non-for-profit arts orgs, and I thought that they would be really great, but they have not been. But so for me, as my art self, as myself, because I also feel that art is part of survival for me. I've gone through similar things that people have mentioned before, like doing house cleaning for a living or doing those kind, sex work and all that for not to have a full-time job because it's impossible for me. So where am I going? I'm starting to get a little foggy brain, tired. Sorry. Processing everything you all are saying. I want to hold it and think about it more. But for me, it's definitely a way that I express myself and feel that I need to express. And oftentimes in the art world or the arts, not even like big art world, and particularly film, because this is my first film, but I've done a few like performance kind of film things, but documentation. But people oftentimes when people find out indigenous, they're like, oh yeah, that's why you work with nature, and then they just immediately erased. Like, yeah, but no. But there's no place to be able to be like, but no. that's so like you don't get it because that's may not be who you are, so that's one thing. And also I often find that in the arts, a lot of disabled people have have like there's a trope, like there's a thing, right? Like a way that disabled art needs to look to be qualified as art. And so a lot of that is, to me, very unchallenging and not representing most of the disabled people in the world, right? It's misrepresenting us oftentimes, and that really pisses me off often when I see the same thing done over and over again. And that's part of as part of capitalism, and the art as an institution is like not really challenging too often. And it's like the one thing that you hit on, you just continuously do it. So there's no further, for me, it doesn't feel like there's any further exploration or expression. It's like you're stuck in that one spot, the artist, whether they've bought into that for survival. That's, there's so many reasons why that happens too, because artists need to survive as well. But as disabled folks have all sorts of perspectives and ways of doing and thinking. So it's not just if everyone was to do something about the land, it may, but I don't really think so, look the same or feel similarly, but all of that work would be very, very, very different, and to the people making the work. So I hope that, I feel like I'm wandering now. So I'm gonna say Moira out.
Fully agree. Thank you for speaking on that, Moira. It's so valuable and so important. And I feel like we could keep talking forever. I want to acknowledge we're at the end of our scheduled time. I see we have a question from Hannah. I don't know if maybe a couple folks would be open to answering, no pressure. Okay, Hannah.
Hey, I'm Hannah, pronouns they, them, come from Ohlone land, otherwise known as Oakland, California. And my question is, what kind of support do you need as artists from the larger community? And I wanted to just offer, I'm feeling so much pride for all of you, and thinking about Crip ancestors that I've had the pleasure to meet before they passed. And just like how, I'm thinking specifically about Patty Byrne from Simpson Ballad, and just like how proud she is of all of you. Oh my God. Like, I just almost feel like she's here, and so I just want to pass that along. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. What a beautiful question, and just such beautiful, powerful words. Whoever would like to speak on that, you're welcome to.
I definitely feel like financial support is like utmost priority. There's just not that many. There's so many ways that I think we are barred from being able to make any money as artists, as chronically ill, as disabled people. Yeah, it's like impossible. I really resonated. I forget who said it, but like a full-time job is highly impossible for me. And so yeah, some way to like either space or money or time, like something that can allow for that, the rest that we all so desperately need to be happening, as well as making our art, for our art to even happen. Yeah.
Moira speaking. I think that it's really important too to think about how we can support each other in the arts in a way that doesn't replicate how the arts has one or two people rise up to the top, which is often a struggle because the world rolls on, capitalist time and whatnot. But how would we co-create and support each other in like in a different kind of art. I don't know, like a art space that would be overall reaching across to a bunch of Crip folks without having like super competition because of scarcity, because that's what capitalism, of course, you all know this, does to us, right? It's about the scarcity and how to do that. But I agree with Mara, like it's time, just from as my own experience, lived experience, I need more time, but also curating. I also am a director at Culture Push in New York City for a disability fellowship. It's about time for most people, and listening to what people's individual needs are. Access friction can be awesome, but it can also be really wearing. So it's like taking time and, working our best to support each other in our individual needs, because there is no script for disability. There's not one thing fits all. It just doesn't happen. And that's, for me, is something that, like, if we come out together to like even talk about this, or more people curate and talk about lack of support in the art world on a regular basis, I think it would make a shift of some kind. But that's it for me. We're out.
Yes, Greta.
Want to add, like, I agree, funding, outsider networks. Also, what I miss very much, and I think you, Bec, are doing your part in organizing this a lot, is like alternative ways of networking with other artists. Because I've noticed, like, when I was younger and I tried to network in these physical spaces, and it never worked. I was always like the weird one, or like nobody seemed to listen to me. Whereas on Instagram, that's actually where most of my connections take place. And it's not like ideal always, like I'm a lot on my phone. But still, like it it does create like connections that offer opportunities. So that's something. And another thing I would really want to have is full agency of my work, I think. Like no institutional opinions or like course direction from like some sort of political agenda that I don't really resonate with. I really miss like artistic freedom a lot. And I also see that in the culture that is being served. It's very, yeah, it's very bland, and I miss like some sort of fire or passion that I can see in spaces like these way more frequently than I do like in general culture. And so I often think of like what would happen if artists were just like allowed in general to be who they are, but especially like if you're like some sort of outsider identity where you have like perspective into realms that the norm, so to speak, doesn't get in touch with. I think that's really on us to express ourselves in the way that feels good to us, and not like in this fixed like perfect. I'm thinking a lot lately about like what the perfect victim is, and I think like when you're disabled, you have like a similar, you have to be like perfect disabled victim in some way in order to be taken seriously as a disabled speaker, like a disabled person, and it cannot be like a nuanced experience that's too, yeah, I guess like it doesn't fit like a fascist agenda if there's nuance. So yeah, agency, that's what I miss.
Foster speaking. Um, I I think a lot about the ways that witness feeds me, specifically like witness from my primary audience, which is other fat, black, queer, and trans folks. Um, I think witness from anyone other than that audience is like, oof, I actually am not here. This is not for you. um, yeah, so I think a lot about when I think about what can my community do for me, it's often so restorative to receive witness, to have someone who reflects myself back to me saying, I see you, I I hear you, I know you, or this, offering of yourself that you've made. Um, and I think for folks who I'm in community with, who are not fat, black, queer, and trans folks, I'm often reminding them to be reflecting on their proximity to power, which by extension means their proximity to access and resources that I do not. Yeah, and doing what they can to redistribute those, to share those, whether it's, you know, financial resources, whether it's skills or people with skills that they have access to, spaces or people with spaces they have access to. Um, yeah, anything that helps shorten the distance between myself and being able to create, that I don't have to overextend myself to access, is what I need and what I ask for, and what serves the work that I am making in the world. Yeah.
While speaking, I just want to add to what Foster just mentioned and say that one, which was really fantastic, that one, like knowing what your access needs are really important too. And oftentimes I feel that that's something that is like we don't always have the language for that, maybe because our bodies are continuously shifting, but also because it's like we've been silenced. So even just us speaking and co-witnessing, and seeing each other, like Foster had just shared with us, is important for them. Is 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 really powerful, I think, too, and important to regularly do when we're with each other. But also, even when we don't know each other too, when we're when we're just nearby, right? And I also want to say that I think Al has something in the chat that they had mentioned about an access, desire, need while you're out.
I wanted to condense my thoughts into like a small thing so that I didn't speak for ages because I'm aware that we're overrunning. So I'm doing a scheme at the moment, like a training scheme with some industry professionals in the UK. And my tutor all keeps saying that the industry is like person first and that they really value people being in the room. I want more spaces where we create the rooms outside of rooms so that we can exist as valued creatives and team members and experience the industry and feel valued without it relying on our physical body and our physical presence. Um, so yeah, that was just my point. I think it's been covered already, but I think that access is a really weird one for our industry because the old school people tend to think that you need to kind of kill yourself to get into the industry and keep experiencing and experiencing and experiencing. And I think that more spaces like this would um, make that a lot easier.
Thank you, all of you, for such gorgeous, gorgeous, powerful insights. Feeling really grateful to be in this space with all of you and to learn from each other and grow together. So thank you, and thank you for that question, Hannah. I think everyone's energy is maybe we're deserving of rest now. Um, if there are any last comments or anything say or share, I want to give that space for that before we.
I loved everyone's films. I am still, it's still so surreal to be part of this amazing experience, and stay powerful.
Hey y'all, it's Foster. I just wanted to encourage folks who want to share their socials to do so in the chat. Yeah.
Thank you, Foster. I'm seeing socials put into the chat. I'll leave some time for that to happen. I see Mara put a Substack link in the chat. Love that.
I'm trying to get away from Mark Zuckerberg as much as possible.
Same. 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 Amazing. Thank you all so much. If you haven't already, please watch
Could
these
I
gorgeous films.
just
Yeah.
ask, I don't know who put it in the chat, I don't know if they're still here, but there's a whole bit about Vinny and like you mentioned them. I think they'd like to see that. So would it be okay if I take a picture to send it to them? If I can find it. I'm not sure who asked. Yeah, there's Ellie. Am I okay to send it to them? Yeah? Okay, great. I'm gonna go because that knock means that my food is ready and I am very hungry. But thank you so much. And I look forward to hopefully existing with you guys again soon.
Thank you, everyone.
1 second. Ugh.
I would love if there's some way to put together like a Google Doc of like everybody's socials after, so it's like easy for people to go and follow each other from all the films. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. Just a
Yeah,
thought.
let's do it. Let's do it. All the socials are on the descriptions of every film as well. So in the
Awesome.
meantime, when you go through on the streaming website, Eventive, and also on the RestFest website in the description of everyone's films and bios. In the meantime, please do that. Check that out to keep following and supporting these wonderful artists. So again, thank you so much, and also hope to share space with all of you again soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much, Bec.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Alexa. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. That was really great.
Bye.
It was great to meet you.
Have a good morning
Yeah.
or night. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.